Okay.
It is the 11th of January, Rabbi Furst, Pierke, Avos, Embalming.
Thank you again, Lou. As Lou mentioned, this is Rabbi Shlomo first year Yeshiva Tzarmanavshi, prime care of Zoom. Our first share this morning, as Lou mentioned, we're discussing the embalmment of Yaakov Avinu and the various different questions involved with that. And we're about to start, I believe, paragraph 21. Yeah, 21, paragraph 21. Okay, yes, any volunteers?
I volunteer.
Okay, please go ahead.
V'hinei avarti al devarich v'nahanati misaros sav rosecha umihu ein hazag leha arich rak ma shaha vas sham. A lot of words here, I don't know.
Okay, we'll help you out. Hold on. We'll help you out. Okay, so it says, Hine avarti al divrecha v'nasati miyashrus svorosecha umihu ein ze gam la'arich rak ma she'avas Hashem b'shem achronim. Okay, okay, the first line is basically just a preface that he basically saying, I've went over your words, they're very, very logical, and there's not much to talk about in terms of what you've mentioned, except what you've mentioned in terms of what the Achronim say, the latter-day authorities, how they understand the tzivor of Sheyako Tzivor Lakanav, that I guess that should really be Yosef. Yosef was what was the point of Yosef commanding? The main point needs to be discussed is the command that Yosef gave that Yaakov Avinu should be embalmed.
Okay, so what is Tzadi Bet?
Tzorach Bir requires explanation.
It requires explanation. That all bodies, chas v'shalom,
Bekolofen, in general, Bekolofen, Tzorach Bir Bekolofen, it requires explanation in general.
Is this chas v'shalom?
Yes, chas v'shalom.
L'chashuv al bachir she ba'avos shaluli chanitas rofi. That it's chas v'shalom that one should think that this was a choice.
Well, no, he said that Bechir Sheba Avos, actually, you're right. Behir means choice, but the Behir Sheba Avos, this is what we mentioned several times before. The Yaakov Avinu was the Behir Sheba Avos. He was the most beloved of all the Avos of Avraham and Yitzchak, and Yaakov was the most beloved of all three. So that's how he's referred to, Behir Sheba Avos.
Chas v'sholom, you would think that the most beloved of the Avos would be embalmed.
Yeah, well, Shalule Chanitas Gufa, that without the embalming of the Rofe Mitzrayim, if it wouldn't be for the embalming of the doctors of Mitzrayim,
Ein gufo shel Avinu Chayam, that the body of our father would not endure.
right? Meaning it's very difficult to believe and to say that the preservation of Yaakov Avinu's body was dependent upon the medical treatments of the doctors of Egypt, because as we mentioned, it's known that the bodies of tzaddikim don't rot; they're preserved. So obviously, Yaakov Avinu was the greatest and most beloved of the Avos. Certainly, his body would not rot. So the question that's being presented here is, what would be the necessity of embalming Yaakov, right? Because certainly it's not for the sake of preserving his body. So we actually answered the question in a certain degree, the last paragraph or two, that it was really done to sort of give the impression that Yaakov Avinu required it, because that was something which was done to the Egyptian nobility.
Right.
But he didn't actually say, embalm me when I die.
Well, yeah, actually, but Joseph gave the command that he should be embalmed. That's the one of the difficulties we've been he wasn't, Yaakov himself didn't command it. Yeah, nevertheless, Joseph in fact did apparently command that he be embalmed.
So v'ne'emanim aleinu divrei Chazal, and we have to have faith in the words of the sages. The Yaakov Avinu lomes, that Yaakov didn't die. V'ha gezerah al hames sher yis riach, and there was a decree concerning his body. What is this word sher yis riach?
Okay, so that means it shall decay. But so again, we have to Ne'emani, we have belief in the words of Chazal that Yaakov Avinu did not die, and there's the decree on a mace that it should decay, meaning the decay only takes place in a body which is mace. And we believe the Yaakov Avinu didn't die, right? So there's no need to prevent decay to his body, because if he was still alive, then he doesn't have any reason why he would decay. So the question is, why was he needed to be embalmed? And that's the case.
Aval hachai leka, but someone who is living does not decay. Devar kazeh v'gam chabasar shetashuv la'afar, and also the flesh returns to dust. Lo amru ella bivnei adam. This is only said about people. Beyond Benoni, who are regular people.
Yeah, average. That's said about that the offer turns to dust. That's said about average people.
Right. Oh, Bale Kanoi,
Kina, Bali Kina, people who are
Hina,
jealous.
jealousy. Aval Tadike MS Menu Chasam Kavod Im Guf Ahen Kiashar Dami. But the truly righteous when they rest in honor, their bodies are straight. I'm sorry, kiyashan, like smoke.
No, like sleeping, like a shun, like sleeping. They're like sleeping.
They're sleeping.
Right. That the tzaddikim that they're not subject to the decree that the body should rot. So their bodies are there in a state of suspended animation. It's they're as if they're sleeping.
Okay, so all we've done really is restated the question.
Right.
Okay, Uka, I don't know, Chaf Mem Shin.
Ukemasha kasle begemor bababasa da ayin gimel amid base the amrle.
He said to him, who Tia, the
The amrle hahutaya the Rav Babar Bar Khana. That there was one Taya, which is an Arab merchant. An Arab merchant said to Rav Babar Bar Khana,
S Achui.
no, not as ta, not as ta.
Oh,
Ta tahavi lach maisi midbar. Come and I'll show you those who died in the midbar. Meaning those who came out of Mitzrayim and those who died in the midbar. I'll come and I'll show you them.
Those who died in the Midbar. Aslay, he went with him. Chazi ro sinahu, and he saw Vidamo Kaman de Mivas mi Viganu Afar Kid Vahu Zakufa Brache Nachad Minaihu. Wow, I need help.
This is a quote from the Gemara. So he said to him, the Arab merchant said to Rabbi Bar Khana, he said, "Come and I'll show you those who died and during our journeys in the Midbar." Asli, they went. Chazinu, and he showed him the Damo, and they were similar to the Misumi Vigano Aparkid, that they were 1 second. I'll try and 1 second. They were similar to those who were um, 1 second. They were similar to those who were Besimimi Beganu Aparkid. They were there lying there like on a bed or parking on their were backs lying on their bed. Baba Zakufa Berchi Dechad Benayu, and one of them Zakfa, one of them Bahaya Zakfa Berchi Dechad Benayu, one of them had lifted up his knee, meaning he was lying there, and in his state of being in lying, he had his knee raised, meaning he brought his leg in and put his foot, so to speak, on the bed there, and that raised his knee. Va'ayil taya tuti berche ki rachiv gamla lo nogabe. And the Arab merchant, when he was riding on his camel, Rachiv Gamla, he could ride through underneath the raised knee. There was enough space between the ground and the raised knee of the one of the Mising Midbar that he could ride his camel through that airspace underneath the knee. Perish, what does that mean?
שרואה אותם שהיו שוכבים בפנים. It means that he saw that it was shochvin. What's shochvin?
They were lying.
Reclined?
A lot, reclined, yeah, reclined.
Befanim, before them, Tehovos. What's Tehovos?
They were lying, and there was shocking panim tzavachas. They were lying there, and their panim, their faces were shining. Kashasa yain, like those people who drink wine. When a person drinks wine, right, he has a nice complexion.
I'm confused. I thought we were understanding what it means to say that the camel could fit under the leg.
No, he's explained the whole thing. The fact that they were lying there.
Uh-huh. Okay. Kishitoye yayin. Like they were drinking wine. Hine masi mi divrei shenach lako. What's masi? Is that like Macy? Corpse?
Hine masai medivrei shechalkoi. That for how hine masai medivrei shechalku. And how long will my words be argued upon? Question is, how long will my words be argued upon?
Be argued upon. Yesh lahem chelek lamaba. If there is for them a portion in the world to come. Mikhan dako vitosfos yesh lahem a portion in the world to come.
Right. Vidictical tosis. Tosis is being analytical. Yeslam chelik olam haba. Tosis understanding from here that there is to them a chelik olam haba.
V'harei kulam begufeihem kishoch vin bifanim bipanim to hovos and we see all of them with their bodies what is this kishochavin?
They were lying there in rest.
We're lying there in rest with their faces shining.
Right.
Vahu besuse daf yud zion, and this is in Suse is a Gemara.
No, but Tosfos.
Oh, but Tosfos on Daf Yud Zion Sham over there, Disha'ar Tzadikim, the other righteous people, Nami also Ain near Kavin. Near Kavin, they don't understand.
No, they don't rot.
They don't rot. The Kosachain, and therefore, Kol v'chomer, Elef Pa'amim, Yaakov Avinu, 1,000 times Yaakov Avinu Ula Pamash
Ulefi Masha Kosev Asi Shapir. And what we have, and based on what we've written, it works out very good.
That's the end of the sentence.
Right, the Sati Ismaya.
What is this 1,000 times? Elef Pa'amim Yaakov Avinu. Oh, I see. If those people who died in the midbar are reclining and their faces are shining, Kol v'chomer 1,000 times Yaakov Avinu would be reclining and his face shining.
Right, and also based on the Tosfos. Tosfos said also that Yud Zayin in Baba Basra that also any other tzaddikim, they're in rest without their bodies riding at all, and that would be even more, many more thousands times to be said about Yaakov Avinu. So okay, and that's 23. Okay, that's okay. So that we've come to the end of our document. 23 is just the final words. It's just salutation in conclusion. So basically, just to make a summary, right? The basic reason why Yaakov Avinu was embalmed and that Yosef gave the command to embalm Yaakov Avinu is because the normal honors of state that were given to the Egyptian nobility, the kings and royalty of the Egyptians, was that they would embalm the bodies of their leaders and noblemen. And that was specifically because, as the Zohar mentioned, that the land of Eretz Canaan and the land of Mitzrayim was very caustic and caused the bodies to rot very quickly, which I guess they perceived and understood to be a lack of honor to their now passed on leaders and royalties. And so therefore they wanted to preserve the bodies as long as possible as a method and a way of honoring them. So Yosef Atzadik understood that if he didn't do that to the body of Yaakov Avinu, it would be a disgrace in the eyes of the Egyptians that they weren't doing it. I still don't know why the Yosef just couldn't speak up and say, well, we're Jews, we do things differently, and this is the way we honor our dead. But okay, he didn't do that. I don't know why. And so what he did do is, as we learned in the Zohar, that was the special order was given to specifically the servants of Joseph's own personal servants who were knowledgeable about medicine. He didn't want to give it to the normal people who do the embalming, because he didn't want the word to get out that he was doing an embalming process, which is different than the normal process. The normal process of embalming would involve opening up the body, desecrating the body by taking out the brain, the heart, the other intestines, and the liver, because those things would cause the body to rot quickly as well. So that was the normal process of embalming, which Yosef could not and would not, as Hashem, ever do to the body of Yaakov Avinu, desecrate the body by taking anything away from the body. Because as we learned that T.S. Mason, people have to have their bodies intact to be able to arise and be resurrected. And if not, they're in very big trouble. So therefore, Yosef commanded his private physicians to do the embalming process in a different way, which as Rashi indicates in Chumash, that they used simonim, they used spices, herbs, medication, which the Zohar mentions was a oil solution that was placed on the navel of the body of Yaakov, and from the navel it entered into his body and caused the preservation of his limbs. But really, you don't need all this anyway, as we just got through saying at this last point, because since Yaakov Avinu was a tremendous, absolute, purest tzaddik in all ways possible, and if your normal, average tzaddikim, their bodies don't rot, as Tosfos mentions. then, as we said, and we just finished off thousands of times and many more times, is that true for Yaakov, that his body would not rot. And therefore, the necessity of the embalmment, and especially also that the fact that Yaakov Avinu didn't die, that's what Chazal say, the Yaakov Avinu didn't die. That's the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan's statement in the Gemara there. And not only that, we have the Zohar, which mentions that at the Kriyas Yamsuf, V'yosha Hashem, V'yomahu Yishlach Yisrael, Yisrael, the Zohar explains that Yaakov Yamsuf got up from his kever and came to Yamsuf to be taken out of Mitzrayim along with his offspring. And so therefore he never died. So from two aspects, the body of Yaakov Avinu was not necessary, there was no necessity of being embalmed, and therefore the only reason for the embalming was to protect and to give cover to Yaakov Avinu in the normal way that the Egyptians would appreciate a cover given to as they assumed to be a dead person. And we also understood that why was the concern of Yaakov Avinu that it would be made into an avodah zarah after he would have died. Meaning, if they didn't make an avodah zarah out of him actively while he was alive, so it's very illogical, in fact, ridiculous, to make an avodah zarah out of somebody who's dead. Is the biggest proof that this faker, this liar, has no power over anything is the fact that he's dead. So a person who's dead is obviously can't be a deity, and is obviously not worth of any consideration to be worshipped in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. And Yaakov Avinu was therefore concerned. Why? The question is, if he was not made into a deity while he was alive, then certainly there was no question at all that would make a deity, even the most ignorant Egyptian of the time would never think to worship a dead person. So therefore, why would he be concerned that he shouldn't be buried in Mitzrayim and be made into a deity? Because the very fact that his body would not rot, they would see that his body would not rot, and that would be an indication to them that this person is in fact really not dead. And then they would in fact then make him a avodah zarah, because they wouldn't be worshiping a dead person, they would be worshiping a live person. So again, in order to solve all these difficulties, Yosef understood that it was proper to command his private physicians, who were his private slaves, and he could entrust them with the secret that they were embalming him in a way that was only superficial, and only to give the appearance that he was being given the normal honors of state that the Egyptian nobility were given. So that's about it. Any questions before we take leave of this subject?
So to just summarize your summary, because it was kind of long. What we're saying is that Yaakov Avinu was not actually embalmed according to the normal practice of embalming. That a subterfuge was conducted in order to hide the fact that as a tzaddik he would be preserved, because if the Egyptians saw that, they might make him into an avodah zarah.
Right.
So they made a subterfuge to honor him in the way of kings, and they formed a pseudo embalming, and then his body was preserved not because of the embalming, but because of his righteousness. and everybody thought what they were supposed to think.
Very good. Yeah, that's a
As a
nice.
matter of interest, I think when CinemaScope first made appearance in the 50s, I think, so they made a film called The Egyptian, which the central motive of that film was embalming, and they showed the process of embalming in the film. I don't know how graphic it was or how accurate it was, but yeah,
Wow.
it was there.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody
Okay.
remembers it.
Yeah, I was telling one of my cabooses yesterday that we're learning about the subject. So it was saying when the British Egyptologists would be scavenging and looting the Egyptian heritage. So when they were there out there in the wherever they were in the mummy fields, so they would get cold. So they would use the mummies for firewood. Apparently, they part of the chemical processing of the body they used was a very flammable substance. So the British Egyptologists discovered that the mummies were actually very good firewood.
Oi,
Yeah, well, I don't know. They probably got what they deserved. They probably weren't very nice to the Jews when we were around their slaves, so probably getting what they deserved anyway. Okay, so that's about that. So good. I'll tell you. We'll return to next. I'll try and prepare a new document for next week. Getting back to our main subject on Pierke Avos.
thank you,
And,
Rabbi. It was very
Very
interesting.
good.
Okay.
Yes, Shikaya.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go into what the post team say about whether or not. Obviously, we can understand that it's obviously not permitted to embalm a Jewish person, although I think there is discussion in the post game about it. If I have a chance and I see anything that might be relevant and short enough to discuss as a PS to the whole subject, I'll try to introduce that too, maybe next week as well.
Okay, yeah, that'd be interesting. It'd be interesting if there's some, discussion about, what's the spiritual effect of doing such a thing.
Okay, I'll see if I can't locate something on those lines. If I do, yes. If not, we'll continue on with Pierke Avos.
All right.
Okay, fine, very good. Roy,
Thank
good to
you.
see you back.
Bye.
Hope to see you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Manchester.
Shabbos, everyone should have a good Rosh Chodesh. And we'll continue with the Mr. Bruce shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.